Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori and today we are setting up my bullet journal for the month of November. So I'm using several different stamp sets today and I've listed those out on screen and I will also have them listed in the description box below. Some of them are not available any longer, but if that is the case and I know it, I will kind of put like a little out of stock type thing. I've also got some Tombow dual brush pens and Archer and Olive calligraphs. A Pigma Micron, I'm actually going to use 01 in Sepia. These are the colors of the Tombows that I'll be using. And then primarily I will be using this September 2023 release from Paper Minty Studio as my primary decoration setup type thing for this month. I wanted this month to be pretty simple, so I didn't want to do any type of drawing heavy, doodling heavy spread because I've been doing October daily and it's just been crazy busy. So I decided to just go with stickers. Right now I am flipping through where I'm at with my October setup. I just kind of wanted to note that I will not be doing a weekly setup. I have just kind of been doing like a running weekly in my weekly pages throughout the month. I started doing that in October and it's been working out really well for me. So I'm going to do that again for November. For my cover page, I'm going to be using a couple of the printed papers that came in that Paper Minty Studio September release, and I'm going to do a lot of paper ripping. There was also several pieces of vellum that came in that release as well that I really loved. So I'm going to be layering the kind of plaid papers against a couple of the vellum pieces on each of my setup pages. I will say that I think I got about halfway through my setup before I realized that I didn't put like any stickers on these first few pages. So I come back a little bit later on in the video to these first couple of spreads that I'll be doing to add some of the stickers from this collection into those pages as well. I've left that in obviously, so you'll see that a little bit later. It's just kind of, it's a little bit out of order because I remembered about halfway through. I was trying to do this very quickly because, like I said, I've been very busy. I also work a full-time job, so doing October Daily has been taking up quite a lot of my spare time. So I just wanted to get this done so that I could start planning because I actually think that I did this either a couple of days before November started and I really needed to write some stuff down. So I was trying to get this done. I am using the Ranger Pebble Beach ink here to stamp out my November cover page title, and I'm using my stamps, my letter stamps from Amazon. I always have these linked below because I really love them and they're super cheap on Amazon if you just need a basic stamp, letter stamp. I really like these ones in particular. Like I said, they are linked below if you're interested in them. I have them in my favorites, my little favorite section in every video, I believe. So I'm going to be doing a lot of layering in this particular setup. Like I said, I will be layering the plaid against the vellum and then I'll be layering stickers on top of that. So I'm using the torn paper stickers to have the November stamped on, and then that's going to create like my overall heading for the month of November. I really like having a cover page for my months. It feels like a really good separation between the months. If you bullet journal, do you have a cover page set up or do you just go straight into your next month? Me personally, I like having that separation between months to kind of give me like a fresh new month start, if you will. So for my cover page, I will add a few stickers on here. These are actually washi stickers, so they lay down like washi tape. and they're very, very thin, and you can kind of see the dots behind them. And I really, really love the way that this actually looks on the bullet journal. So these are super fun, and if you have a chance to ever try them out, definitely do so. So I will get a couple of stickers added down here, but like I said, when I come back a little bit later, I will add some more, and I'll also add a border to this page as well. Moving on though, I am doing my monthly calendar setup. I'm doing a very similar sized calendar to what I did in September. I believe it is 4 dot grid spaces wide by 5 dot grid spaces long. And then I am going to, like I said, just do a very similar setup here. I will be placing my November header for the calendar along the right hand side, and I will be going vertically with that, but like sideways. You'll see when I get there, because I don't know that I'm actually making sense. And then I'm also going to add kind of a double line around the outside, and then just a solid straight rulered line to separate all of my months. I will just say for my monthly calendar and for my sugars tracker that I do in this setup, I do not write out any of the days of the month, so 1 through 30. I do not do that. I actually stamp that, but because I'm using such a teeny tiny stamp to stamp out those numbers, and I have to like put my journal like right next to my face to see what I'm doing, I do not include that in this video at all. I believe that you will see it in the final flip through, but I'm not 100% sure. I think I included that in my final flip through, but I do not put that on camera just because, like I said, I have to get really close to my journal to actually see where I'm stamping those teeny tiny numbers. But those numbers come from the Dear Wildflowers Habit Tracker stamp set, and I don't think that company went out of business, but they're in like the middle of like some changes or something like that, I think I saw on Instagram. So unfortunately, that stamp set is not available right now, though you might be able to find it on scrapbook.com. I'm not 100% sure. I will check and link it below if I can find it for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's probably not available, but I do really like that stamp set. So I'm getting my layered paper and vellum pieces added to the bottom of this setup, and I am doing one on the bottom right hand page and then a little kind of layering cluster at the top of the left hand page to kind of diagonally lead you across the page. Since this is a double page spread, for all of my other spreads, I'm going to be doing them individually per each page. And then you'll kind of see when we get closer to that. I am going to add kind of a double-lined border around each of my pages, and I really wanted it to be a super thin line. So at first I'm pulling out a 003 Pigma Micron, and I don't know if it's just because I haven't used these in a long time, but about like a couple of inches down each page, it just seemed to stop working. So I pulled out then a 005, and the same thing happened, and that's when I decided that I was going to go ahead and put my November title down for this page because I was getting a little bit irritated with those pens, and ultimately I will decide, I believe, on another page as we get closer. I think it might be this next set of pages. I'll just grab a 01 that I know will work the way that I want it to, and then that will be what I use for my borders. At some point, either during this spread or the next two spreads, is when I will switch that out. But moving right along, I'm now working on my orders and my currently pages. These are going to follow the same setup that I have been doing for the last couple of months. I really like keeping track of my orders, especially since one of the habits that I've been tracking is not spending money. And I didn't have like a monthly overview of all of the orders that I had placed until September when I originally set this journal up. And September was wild. At the end of the month, I looked back and I was like, wow, I placed a lot of orders. So it definitely has been helping me kind of keep track of how many orders I'm placing and kind of tone that down a little bit, because I realized that I can be a bit impulsive when it comes to buying things and placing orders, and the FOMO is real for me. So I really like having this orders page to kind of keep track of how many orders I'm placing, and also, make sure I'm not placing too many orders. For my currently page, I really like just tracking the things that I'm reading and watching and playing or listening to when I'm doing that. For my patterned paper for this spread, I'm actually going to switch to the little bit darker brownish green colorway of the patterned paper. I only had one sheet of this, and I had 2 sheets of the orange, which I'm not sure if that was intentional or if I just got an extra sheet by accident, but here we are. So I am kind of trying to be a little bit sparing with how much of each of these patterned papers I'm using. You'll see that for the particular greenish brown paper that I'm using now, I'm using a lot less than when I used the orange paper in the previous spreads, because I only have one sheet of this one. I also generally write a lot more on these spreads as well, so I'm going to need more room to write, which worked out perfectly because I am using less of this pattern paper and I now have more space to write. I do not add any of my currently titles for some reason when I'm doing this setup. I don't know why I didn't, but I do go back after the fact, and this was after I finished everything. And once November actually started and I went to go write down the book that I was reading, I didn't label any of my sections. So for this particular spread, I am not going to be labeling out reading, watching, and playing like I did in the last couple of months. But I did add those titles in, and I added them the very same way that I added my subscriptions. I used that same stamp set, but I just used the all lowercase alphas instead of the capital alphas, because the capital alphas are what I'm using for my titles for each page. Moving right along, we are working now on my moods and habits pages. So for my mood tracker this month, because there was a vellum sheet of paper in the Paper Minty Studio kit that had little coffee cups all over it, I figured that this would be a really good opportunity for me to grab out the couple of coffee stamps that I have and kind of make a little mug shelf, and I will then use each of the mugs to color in for like whatever mood I'm feeling for that month. Or for that day, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to use the coffee mug vellum as kind of my little vellum piece, my vellum layering piece for this spread. And I will layer that underneath, I believe, the orange patterned paper. I also, here is where I realized that I've not been using any of these stickers since I used those first couple ones in my very first page, the cover page. So once I get these 2 pages done, I will go back through the last couple of pages and then start adding in stickers to those spreads as well. For my habit tracker this month, I'm not doing anything too fancy other than stamping out my calendar stamp that I normally use and just adding some stickers to the page as well. I am using the same method, keeping track of those habits that I have been doing. So essentially, I've just been using my calendar stamp, stamping out the calendar that coordinates with each month, and then I use my Zig dot markers to just do a dot over any day that I successfully complete that habit or whatever it is that I'm tracking with that habit tracker. So for this spread, I am going to complete my moods page before I move on to my habits page. Right now, I am drawing out what I'm hoping ends up looking like kind of floating shelves and adding a couple of like wood grain-esque type lines to each of those shelves. And then I'm going to select my Calliograph marker from Archer and Olive to color that shelf in. Once I do that, I will grab my coffee stamp sets from Studio Calico. And both of these stamps are called coffee. I'll have them linked below. The last time I checked, they were no longer in stock, but they were the stamps that had like the notify me button on there. So if you click those notify me buttons for Studio Calico, then they kind of use that to gauge interest on which stamps to bring back, and you'll get an email once it's back in stock. So I pulled out any actual mugs I had for each of these two stamp sets, and I ended up having a total of 4. So I'm just going to stamp out all of these mugs in various places throughout my little spreads or my shelves. And then off camera, I believe, when I go back and do my stamping for my calendar, I will kind of just add in the dates for the moods for each day of the month. Now, I will say that for some reason, my mathing was not mathing. I thought that I would have 30 days if I did 5 stamps on each shelf and had 5 shelves. Obviously, that's not the case. So what I ended up doing when I went to number these and realized that I did not have enough cups is I just went and kind of double stamped. You'll see it looks like I've got 2 mugs set on top of each other because that stamp is very small. So I'm just going to go and stamp about 5 more mugs on top of those little mugs because I ended up having the perfect amount to fill in for the mugs that I was missing. I also stamped a little coffee sign. Since it was a shelf, I thought it would kind of look like decor, and a French press, and colored that in as well. And then I am going to kind of label out what my moods that I will be tracking this month are. And those moods generally are like sad, happy, okay, meh / tired, angry, or ill. So those are the general moods that I feel. So those are the ones that I normally track. I have been toying with the idea of adding another color in here the last few days though for a productive mood, because sometimes I do feel very productive and I get a lot done. And I was thinking I might add that in because I do have a little bit of extra space above that kind of photograph sticker. Let me know. If you are tracking your moods, do you track when you are feeling productive? Let me know down in the comments below. So we have moved on now to my habit tracker. And like I said, this one is going to be pretty simple. It's mostly just going to be stickers that I add onto here. And I'm going to use the monthly calendar to do out my habits. I do not add any habits that I'm tracking during this setup because for some reason it takes me forever to decide which habits I want to track. But I believe I ended up writing reading. I have found that it's easier for me to just dot off if I've read that day and then update my reading journal after the fact when I do like my monthly updates for my reading journal. So I'm tracking my reading. I'm tracking if I take my night insulin every day, because I do forget that sometimes. And then I'm tracking not spending any money. I'm tracking my face care, so skincare routine, but I ended up just stamping out face on here because I could not fit skincare, because I did use that same stamp from Amazon. And then I also have put on here this month workout, and I didn't put that on here necessarily to make sure that I'm marking it off every day. I put it on this spread more so as a way to see if I'm doing it, when I'm doing it, and how often I am doing it. So I just kind of want to see when I am actually working out and how often I'm doing so. For the monthly stamp that I'm doing here, I accidentally, when I went to do the second set of stamping, did not stamp it in the correct place. I'm actually one dot grid box over from where I should have stamped it. So in order to correct that, quote unquote, or overcorrect it, I guess, I did the next row like 2 boxes over. So it's all super wonky. Nothing is straight on this particular spread. But what I ended up doing was filling in the extra spaces on each side of my empty space with leaves, some of the leaf stickers that I have. And surprisingly, by the time that I was done with this spread, I actually really, really loved the way that it looked. Even though when I stamped that second set of stamps, I was really unhappy with that. But adding those stickers in to fill in that blank space kind of made everything look a little bit more intentional. So I ended up liking it in the end, which is all that matters, right? I do have quite a big space up at the top here above my top 2 habit calendars. Let me know down in the comments what you think I should put here, because this space that I'll end up having up here, once I place the main book sticker down, it's still blank. It's still blank there. And I'm not sure what to put there. I was thinking maybe a little quote or something like that. If you've got a favorite November quote, leave it down in the comments for me. And I might put that there. I'm just not sure what to put in this space. I considered adding more stickers, but I feel like I already have enough stickers on this page, and I don't really want to add any more. So let me know your thoughts, because I am fresh out of ideas. I'm just going to backtrack now, like I said, and go through some of the previous pages and get some of these stickers added to those pages as it relates to the page. Like for my orders one here, I found a lot of envelopes and mail, so I thought that those would be perfect for there. And then for my currentlies, I really like to track what I'm reading. That's mostly what's going to end up on this page, so I thought it would be perfect to add some books. So once I get these stickers added to these previous pages, that is when I will move on to my last spread. The last 2 pages that we are working on today are going to be my sugars tracker and a Friendsgiving spread for me to kind of track if I need to make anything and what groceries I may need to get in order to make said items. So for my sugars tracker, I really enjoyed having this in my bullet journal last month, so I am going to add this in again. And for my tracking method, what I'm going to end up doing is just going straight down my page, numbering 1 through 30 for the days of the month. And then I've got 4 columns after that for a morning blood sugar test, a lunchtime blood sugar test, an afternoon blood sugar test, and then a before bed test, because that is how often I should be checking my blood sugars. So I'm going to go ahead and make a column for each of those. Then really that's all I'm going to be putting on this page, aside from, I believe, 2 pumpkins next to sugars at the top once I'm finished and adding my stickers. For the Friendsgiving spread, I am going to be using the rest of this greened pattern paper and placing that right at the top, and then just kind of filling this page in mostly with stickers and papers and embellishments. I don't expect to be making a ton of stuff, but I did want to have a space designated to what I'm going to need to make and what ingredients I may need when that time comes. So that way I've got it written down someplace that I can reference, mostly for the groceries aspect of it, because I can come up with things to make all day, but then if I don't write down what I actually need, I end up going to the grocery store like 6 or 7 times just to get all of the supplies to make one dish. So this will probably end up being like a running grocery list for any ideas for items that I might want to make for the Friendsgiving that we are going to be having with a couple of our friends this year. Then once I've got this completed, that's going to be all I have set up for today, just these last 2 spreads. And then for my weeklies, again, I am just doing kind of a running weekly. So that's something that I am filling out at the beginning of each day. I am just kind of stamping either the date or the day of the week and the date, or just the day of the week, whatever I'm really feeling like doing that day, and then doing my running to-do list underneath that. And then when the day is over, I just start the next day right underneath that. And like I said at the beginning of this video, that has been working out really well for me. So I am going to go that route again for the month of November. So far, since it is now November 6th, I am already completely finished with my first week. I am still loving it, so I'm going to continue to move forward with that. Though, knowing me, eventually I'll probably get bored of it and want to draw out weekly planning spreads again one day, but who knows? Yeah, so I'm just going to add a couple final stickers here, and then I will flip to the end and kind of do a final flip through at the end of this video, so you can see how all of these spreads turned out. One thing I will note about these washi tape stickers is that since they are washi tape, you can peel them back up just like washi tape, and as you saw, I did that with that orange pumpkin and placed it to the top of my page, and I just love being able to do that and not have to worry about the paper ripping because of the sticker. All right. Anyways, so here we are at the final flip through. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Leave me a leaf emoji if you made it to the end of this video, or let me know what your favorite kind of event dish is. Not necessarily anything to do with Thanksgiving, because I know not everybody celebrates that, but if you've got a event dish that you like to make, let me know down in the comments below what that is. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!